Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Alex Nelson. We have with us in the room Akia Grayson and Dr. Sanjay Brecky from NIST, Jennifer Lin from IBM, and Tom Walters from MITRE providing technical assistance. Online, we have Rajesh Paturi from Applied Materials and Daniel Platea from ASML. So most of us in the room were co-authors on this semiconductor manufacturing CSF profile. Should I be using the plugin? We have the tech working. Excellent. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming at this morning. We are working with a workshop plan that had to meet a few adjustments as we had from our initial timelining. This time we believe still served to be most practical for the points of the world that tended to attend our meetings. As we were working to develop this profile. So for those of us, particularly on the US West Coast and in the APAC region, thank you very much for the impressive time of day that you are online learning about cybersecurity for semiconductor manufacturing. So I want to, yes, thank you everybody for coming. Can we please advance the slide? Thank you. So my welcome remarks are basically going to sum up with something that almost got to come out in a press release, but we ended up finding some things about how short those should be. So I would like the text to still survive anyway. So it's about my experience getting to work with this group. I am not in the semiconductor industry. I do work with NIST on other CSF processes and work otherwise in ontology modeling. So getting to work here with so many security chiefs and operational specialists of the industry, it was a splendid extension of collaboration that already naturally arises from the regular business. The group that worked on this profile came from a broad coverage of the semiconductor manufacturing ecosystem. Everyone's experiences working with other specialized companies in the ecosystem led to a rich pool of knowledge of in common cybersecurity needs, now pooled in this profile. Everyone coming together makes this cross-disciplinary collaboration even more effective. Can we advance the slide, please? So we can talk through what the day is going to look like. So, thank you. Yes. So currently I've heard a beep. Should I be concerned?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, thank you. So we'll be stepping through basically starting at the present with, past good natural timeline progression, past, present, future. We will start with a little bit about the center of excellence that we are in right now to talk about where this profile it will be published through. Nakia will be leading that discussion. The history of the CSF profile and the timeline that we managed to achieve with it. Jen will be leading that. I will get into what of the profile we found most fruitful to discuss for the purposes of this webinar. I won't be reading the document to you. We are here hoping to improve your ability to provide feedback on the on the public during the public comment period. So I'll be highlighting parts of that to explain why the document was structured the way it was. We'll break in that part of the morning. Continue some overview discussion. Trying to follow the college lecture practice of after an hour, everyone needs to move around a little bit. We'll have a brief round of Q&A on the profile before we break for lunch. Hour for lunch. Next slide, please. And the morning basically ends with the present. The future then is what we are going to talk through in the afternoon. We'll go through exercises on what the profile, what needs the profile fulfills, what needs you all think it would need to fulfill. Some more working exercises, and basically we'll be talking through our through line of, yes, we have the semiconductor manufacturing profile. We have next steps to think through. There's still a working group convened to do this work. We'll talk a bit about the community of interest, how that working group interact. And this will get us through visualizing what our next steps are for adoption of profile and next pieces of security guidance for this area. And that'll be the day. If I recall correctly, we're off to Nokia, or we're on to Zoom mechanics. Yes. So this is a Zoom webinar. October now. For those of us in the browser, most of these controls are down at the bottom of the screen. We are functioning with with chat, Q&A. We will be using Zoom functions you probably have a few years to familiarize yourself with, but we'll be using the Q&A functions and reviewing questions as they come in, pausing good opportune moments. Please feel free to send questions. We do want this to be an interactive workshop. Okay, next slide was another thing. Captions are available. That'll do. If you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand, and hopefully one of us will wave our arms wildly and get the speaker's attention and give you a chance. It would be very helpful if you could post your question in the Q&A, so we will know approximately where it should fall in our presentation materials. Okay, next slide, please. And because I'm aware that most of the registrants to this workshop, many of the registrants were not actually part of the group that was doing the profile development. So welcome everyone, it's good to meet you. We would like to meet you a little more. May we have in the chat your name, the organization you're with, and the title that you have there. It's good for us to know what levels of the organizations we're talking to, because every level is important in the security ecosystem. So if you all don't mind, just go ahead and say hi. What we appreciate it is probably still quite early in the morning for a lot of people. So how about we step to Nakia?
Hi, my name is Nakia Rayson, and I'm the community profile lead at the NIST's National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. I will provide a quick overview of our center. We bring together industry, government, and academia to address the needs of securing complex IT systems. Next slide, please. We were established in 2012 as an applied cybersecurity lab at NIST. In fact, we are part of the applied cybersecurity division under the NIST's Information Technology Laboratory. We were formed in partnership with the state of Maryland and Montgomery County, Maryland, to be able to help out small and medium and large size companies to be able to manage their cybersecurity risk. We integrate standards, best practices, and we also use commercially available technology in our lab solutions that can help address specific cybersecurity challenges. Well, a lot of our work at the center is centers around lab builds. We help communities to develop community profiles by working with them on developing the profile, also thinking through what resources and guidance that we can develop to help them get started with developing a profile. We operate in collaboration with other NIST experts, programs at NIST to develop profiles in other of our lab builds. In 2014, NIST was sponsored. We sponsored the nation's first federally funded research and development center dedicated to cyber security. We are located in Rockville, Maryland, and the home to more than 20 lab projects, and we have over 35 cyber projects. Next slide, please. So here we wanted to spend some time to give an overview of CSF 2.0. Many of you are probably already familiar with the cybersecurity framework, but we wanted just to spend some time just giving a quick overview of it. NIST has updated the widely used cybersecurity framework, which is our landmark guidance for being able to manage and reduce cyber security risk. In February of last year, we published CSF 2.0, and the framework is comprised of three main functions, three main components, the core, the profiles, and the tiers. The core is really a high level cybersecurity outcome that can help a business be able to manage their cyber risk. The core, it has the functions, as you see on the right side. Next slide, please. And you see on the right side of this screen, in that wheel, you would see the functions that we have, and then also functions of categories, subcategories that can detail each outcome. As you see that we have 6 functions, and they all work together to really help a business be able to manage their cyber security risk. Next slide, please. To be able to address the current and future cybersecurity challenges and improvements, NIST set out on this journey of developing the CSF 2.0. Along the way, NIST had got feedback from many different stakeholders through like workshops, and we got feedback from users and non-users alike. We had put out a draft document for comment, which resulted in, first we had the CSF 1.0, then we had 1.1, and then we have CSF 2.0. With the CSF 2.0, there were some key updates, and some along the lines of like being able to like change the like be able to reflect the changes in the cybersecurity landscape, risks and technology standard changes, and we explained beyond the scope, and we also wanted to make sure that I would point out that we now have 6 functions. So our functions is identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, and the new function, governing. And we also increase our information on supply chain risk management, and we formalize the term community profiles. Next slide, please. A community profile is what we will be spending most of our day talking about. Is normally built out from like a sector, subsector, technology, threat type, or other use case. So a business can take a community profile and as the basis for their own target profile. They will come together like different sectors and subsectors and develop this profile and interest of like they have shared goals around like cyber security risk management. These groups can be comprised of like many different folks in the sector. Some are like from a trade association, other government bodies, advisory groups, and we bring together again like these stakeholders to identify what are some of their top cyber challenges and how we can work together to build out a profile to kind of like highlight those problems and what we can do to manage and mitigate that in those like sectors or subsectors. Next slide, please. So here are some key like benefits that we see when we're developing a community profile. One being being able to share a common taxonomy for like cyber security and privacy in the context of the of that sector or subsector, being able to align requirements from multiple sources, leverage expertise across that sector or subsector, and being able to encourage their common target outcomes. And also, we want to be able to minimize the burden by working together as a team. Overall, by collaborating as a team, the community can better, talk about what are some of the cyber and privacy risks that they are trying to help to manage and mitigate for their like sector or subsector and build out the profile for. Now I will turn it over to Jen Lind from IBM to talk about the history of SEMI CSF profile effort.
Thanks, Nakia. Good morning, everyone. Very pleased to be here. It's been quite the journey for us to get here. First, wanted to just talk a little bit. Not everyone's familiar with SEMI, and we can go ahead and go to the. Oh, sorry. Just wanted to give some background on the SEMI organization. Not everyone's familiar with SEMI. SEMI itself is a 50-year-old nonprofit that has over 3,000 global members. And the reason why this group came together is it gives industry players a way to collaborate in a non-competitive way for us to quickly get individual contributing workers all the way up to CISO level in this group to sit down and work together. So go to the next slide. I can talk through it. Perfect. So in the summer of 2023 at SEMICON West, there was a cybersecurity consortium, a global kind of afternoon, you can say maybe 4 or 5 sessions. It was a great session, but it wasn't the marquee of obviously SEMICON West. But a group of us got together and we said, look, more than just having some presentations annually at SEMICON West, we really want to get together and tackle some of the challenges that we see in the semiconductor industry specific to cybersecurity. And so between the summer of 2023 and December, we said we'd like to formalize this. NIST was actually there. We started having some conversations on what the future of what our group would look like. And by January of 2024, the SEMI FMCC, which is the Semi Manufacturing Cybersecurity Consortium, was created. It has multiple work groups and 8 right now that have various functions to support the semiconductor industry in becoming stronger together. Work group 4 was focused primarily on standards and regulations. And we knew early on, and we had communicated in this as we were forming, that we decided as a group collectively, we would like to tackle this effort of trying to create the cybersecurity framework semiconductor community profile. So we reached out, and so at the same time 2.0 was coming out. So we knew like, hey, this is great timing. We can start this on the brand new version. We don't have to worry about mapping things after we completed something. This is great timing. So that was in early Feb, as you see on the timeline here. And then Jay had actually invited us to talk about this effort on February 27th of 2024. And it got some attention in the room, which then led to us being invited to the Office of the National Cybersecurity Directorate, ONCD. And we went together with NIST and said, look, we'd really like to partner on this. We really want to move forward and illuminate and help leverage this sense of community to tackle the challenges that we have in cybersecurity. And we really like to do this profile. And very quickly afterwards, the version 2.0 of the National Cybersecurity Strategic Implementation Plan was released. And in that section, there was a mandate for this profile to exist. So section 5.5.5 said you will work with public and private to coordinate and come up with some guidance. So we started our workshops. That's when, at this point, the heavy lift of the volunteers. I want to remind everyone that this effort from the SEMI side, you'll see everyone's name and all their companies. This is a very heavy lift, week to week, multiple hours a week of writing discussing, that got us to this end product. With, I'd say, 3 really strong workshops in between, and NIST and MITRE were very heavily involved from the very first workshop when we decided, yes, we're actually going to do this, and we had deadlines. And then we got some coverage, and we delivered our draft in December. And I'm pleased to say 1 year after Jay had invited us to do that initial talk about what we would like to do, it actually came out into the public comment period. So for us, we're like, wow, that was an amazing year. So I really just want to applaud all the other authors, because there was a tremendous amount of work that we all took away from our everyday jobs and still made this happen. And of course, we couldn't have done it without NIST and MITRE and everyone else who has had the experience help guide us as well, because none of us had ever actually done this before, which is the other fun part. Next slide, please. And so really just want to show this slide as kind of our semi-nonprofit vision of how we see this moving forward and working together, and how we really wanted to develop the profile. So in that first bubble on the bottom left, you see that that's just the framework, right? So we see that as the foundation. Our community profile builds on that foundation, and that's where we are today. You know, at that stage, but we do want to continue as a group to have follow on. This afternoon, we're going to talk about what that's going to look like. What's the next? We do plan on doing more documents, and we're open to other forms of communicating the profile to get broad adoption. And then, of course, work on maturity models and get feedback as to how well has this been adopted, and are we actually improving the cybersecurity across the industry. That's how we are here today. Thank you. Turn it back to Nakia or Alex. Yep.
Yeah, I need to borrow the mic back from you. Sorry. Here we are. I have the mic back. Please let me know. Oh, that sounds like it's live. We're good. You would be live too. Apologies, Jen has actually just finished her speaking part of these slides. Of this portion of the slide deck. I don't need to. So this will be now. Jen, thank you for talking to the past and how we've gotten here. I am now going to go into parts of this document, 8546. If you read enough of the NIST documents, you just end up talking to numbers as proper nouns. So please understand when I say 8546, I'm talking about our current effort on cybersecurity for the semiconductor manufacturing sector. But thanks to Nakia talking through community profiles, I wanted to start with where we are talking about this as a community within another one. So next slide, please. Okay, so in most of my day-to-day work, I actually work in ontology space, and don't worry, I'm well aware of the time in the morning. I'm not going to talk too much about the set theory here, but this is it's basically a way of dividing the universe into different buckets and stacking them in a lot of cases. You find a lot of nesting patterns. We have already this piece of guidance from NIST on the manufacturing sector, general manufacturing, which you can see as a community with several industry groups that form their own communities within it. The automotive manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, oil and gas, we're all involved in providing guidance for just general manufacturing, where there's often a theme of we have old equipment and need to figure out how to secure it, working with new software that can follow different update protocols and security scanning protocols. So there's already guidance from NIST on general manufacturing. This group from SEMI is working with us on semiconductor specific manufacturing. And I, through my ontology lens, saw this as an opportunity to inherit a lot of guidance and build extensions to say this is how we specialize the knowledge in the manufacturing profile for semiconductor manufacturing. And there's a lot of extensions that this group also had put into this. So this is there's a layering going on here that follows some I hope straightforward English parallels, since a semiconductor manufacturer is a manufacturer, then we should take manufacturing guidance and build on it. So the end result of is a new structural achievement, to my knowledge. This is the first CSF profile from NIST for a sub-community. And I wanted to bring this up because this is also doing something that every writing instructor in graduate school and since graduate school, all the paper reviews I've done and paper drafting I've done, you never talk about like you have to live with 2 documents in hand. But in this case, we did actually see as a group that it made sense to have a 2 docs in hand consumption style for semiconductor manufacturing. There's a further write-up on this in the semiconductor profile, section 1.4. We'll be getting to scope in a moment. So can we go to the next slide? I think it's not now yet. Okay. So Nikki had talked and Jen had talked about how CSF 2.0 had dropped while the plan was formulating for this resource. So I wanted to do this as kind of a parallel versioning illustration. If any of you happen to work with software development teams and Git, this might actually, you might see where the visual cues came to make this diagram. This is basically a progression into the security horizon, kind of with where we had, with the biggest influences on us. 8183 R1, that is the manufacturing profile. And that is built on CSF 1.1. And we happened to know as we were drafting our document that they were going to be, just how the schedules had worked out, they were going to be starting to work when we were about maybe 2/3, 3/4 of the way through our work. So this ended up being a parallel development effort in this space because there's different teams working on these pieces of guidance. And we had the mandate we need to put out the semiconductor guidance, probably in a time that's not going to work well with waiting for the manufacturing profile. So how this influenced things is CSF 2.0 was finalized, released a few years after 8183. We hit the now point. We are now in the public comment period for 8546. There should be an IPD here, but the graphic didn't make too much sense. We will, in the near future, have 8546 release. And then with the way the editorial and development timelines are going to work out, at some point in the future after that, 8183 R2 is going to be released based on CSF 2.0. They're aware that there's a CSF 2.0 upgrade they need. They need to do. And after that, the semiconductor manufacturing guidance will release its R1, finally getting to do an alignment against the manufacturing profile, pick up the guidance there, without so much mapping done. However, in the meantime, because we don't have an 8183 R2 and R1, it's built on CSF 1.1, we needed to do some of the work in advance. There was an effort needed to map the 8183 guidance to CSF 2.0. And we also needed to develop all new guidance because some of the CSF 2.0 subcategories are entirely new and don't really have subcategories that correspond from CSF 1.1 that we could pull from, whether guidance or other pieces of judgment. Fortunately, doing this ended up being kind of a work ahead, and we worked out some processes and as well as guidance that we hope to be able to contribute upstream without even too much change. That is the editorial process will show things through, and we hope a lot of this will end up being a good work ahead for the manufacturing profile team. Hopefully, accelerate their efforts. No promises. We will see how things manage to progress. So that's some of the explanation of why we have a lot of text in 8546 on semiconductor manufacturing devoted to this parallel development effort. Next slide, please. Okay, so talking to the structure, this is going back to the 2 docs in hand structure, which is really the ultimate vision. The end of that train tracks is where we are going to have things nicely aligned in terms of being built on the same foundation and getting to feel like a more natural extension of from manufacturing to semiconductor manufacturing. At that point, this diagram will be even a little more tricky. But this is how basically the reading structure for the semiconductor manufacturing profile, where you start with that document, and you will find out after about 3 sections that you should have another document in hand, but it is okay. You can start with semiconductor manufacturing standalone and get to understand things through basically where CSF 2.0 is, how it comes into play. Most of the participants on this webinar, we are assuming that the overview of semiconductor manufacturing and operational systems and OT, assuming that's going to be a little more in common knowledge to you. But these are points where we do, of course, welcome feedback. If there is something that you see in there that you think needs to highlight as a minor or major point, please. It will help us make sure that our framing for our guidance matches the broader community needs. So that talks to beginning of the document. You can start with just one file in hand or one manuscript on the table. But once you get into discussing business and mission objectives and the specific guidance for each of the CSF subcategories, then it will be beneficial to have 8183 in hand. And we know that there's a lot of mapping that has to carefully have a designated landing zone in the upstream document. So we did take great care with making specific references everywhere we could. Next slide, please. Okay, so I want to talk to scope and why we have the semiconductor manufacturing document as a specialized part of the manufacturing sector. And Jay was here a moment ago. If you have questions about this figure, I'm going to request that you hold them for a Q&A or drop them in the Q&A section. And if somebody just waves their arm around, I will see, and we can give Jay a chance to answer it. But this is basically how we are seeing the cybersecurity topical scope for semiconductors. Along the top is our linear manufacturing pipeline. We have seen I'm aware of other illustrations that have some loops in here because of some steps repeating quite a bit. Jay, if I am talking to anything incorrectly, you are welcome to grab Jen's mic and correct me. But we wanted to show that there's a focus that we're doing within the cybersecurity topics. Our scope is within the manufacturing pipeline, just on manufacturing packaging, and everything else we might briefly mention in 1 or 2 of the subcategory specific level of guidance, but they are not the focuses of the document. The breakdown we have on the general topic of hardware security, we grappled with this for a month or 2 to determine scope, but eventually we found the magic words where how we separate security and semiconductor, because there's a lot of security concerns when you look at chip layouts and reverse engineering issues and other power leakage side channel matters. Those are security of the semiconductor, and we have chosen to leave them out of scope, not highlighted under these yellow spotlight boxes. Security for semiconductors is the focus of this document, where we were talking about manufacturing process. And you'll see on the next slide, there's a huge amount of interplay within the community. A lot of people are a lot of orgs are manufacturers for other orgs within the same ecosystem. So there is some supply chain that we need to discuss, but not all of supply chain is in scope. This generally covers industrial security and a good chunk of establishing trust and provenance. So I'm good on this slide. Next, please. Okay. This is another way how the document distinguishes itself from the manufacturing doc. Why it's not just a straight lineup. The structure we took for our guidance ended up rotating around what we call functional domains. Another place where this was nicely demonstrated and inspired this group to take the practice was from the EV Extreme Fast Charging Infrastructure CSF profile, which Nakia had done a good chunk of work on. Where they used a division of domains involved in the security processes: electric vehicles, charging systems, the cloud for orchestrating them, and utilities supplying the juice. Each of these domains brings a wildly different set of concerns into the overall picture of we need to secure working together. So we saw this domain breakout model and thought this is also a good way to look at semiconductor manufacturing, because there's one clear cut separation. The fab and enterprise IT have some more classic security separation topics from the manufacturing sector. You buy equipment in the fab and it will last for decades. That's just the service cycle, and that means it's 7, 8, I don't know how many digits of dollars, a good number of digits of dollars. You're not replacing it, so you're going to live with it for a good while. What does living with it mean? So this is legacy versus contemporary cyber resources, and also there's a significantly different safety focus for your enterprise IT and the fab space, because the enterprise IT, to my knowledge, doesn't work too much with toxic gases if nothing's on fire, like actual fire. But there's much different concerns here. But there's this other domain that naturally arose because of so many of the business relationships and knowledge of how they have needed to work with each other. That this was also one of those things that just tickled me as an ontologist, where we spend meetings quibbling about words, individual words, to find like what's the best way to express some concept. And for several half calls, we were fixated on this word product. Everyone is selling a product to someone. What does security of the product mean? And the directionality of the security issues was just really hard for everyone to grapple with. So it would be an hour of going through what this term should mean. I was just laughing hysterically as an ontologist in the background. But then once we got into talking about security guidance and getting to product line, everyone just like immediately slotted into, oh yeah, this is the exact thing we should do. And that guidance just immediately spilled and lined up perfectly. It just like landed with a punctuation in place. So there was clearly a natural thing everyone felt. And it was an easy thing to consider as a different domain. The term we ended up settling on was equipment and tooling. But this is where we have a supply chain-ish topic that we do address in the profile. How do we work? How do all the organizations work with one another? And excerpted from the document is that yes, there's a vendor space that also interplays with each of these different levels. Vendors end up being their own domain, but because the vendors are the people in the room too. So that's on one on this slide. Next, please. Okay. Now, I talked a bit to how we were breaking out the document, structuring it. A lot of the effect of where this domain structuring comes in and the mapping effects come in is going to be in the meat of the document, the tables, the back matter, which is what I did not expect to put us to 120 pages, but really was a lot of meat. This is just a screenshot of a part of the guidance and shows the basic table structure. Points of showing this to you during this workshop, getting a chance to verbally explain that there is a reason some of the references are listed the way they are, and this will justify some of the squiggly figures we're going to see in a moment. So our references always start with 8183R1. That is the manufacturing profile built on CSF11. It's built on CSF11, not 2.0, and there are known mappings. This provides some mappings to say if you're looking at a CSF2.0 function, what in CSF11 corresponds with it. That's one direction, and there's another direction. If you're starting from CSF11, to what CSF2.0 function subcategories did this go? This was a fairly complex mapping. I will show you how complex in a few slides. But point being here is we wanted to build on the manufacturing profile guidance, but building on it meant needing to point people to many different rows within the manufacturing profile while they're still on 1.1. So we provided careful breadcrumb trails for everyone to find guidance sources. What initially started as emphasis or convenience ended up being an excerpting exercise that did a good chunk of the mapping. You notice this particular subcategory, PR PSO1, configuration manufacturing management practices, happens to draw from 5 different CSF11 subcategories. That's just, again, we're in ontology hat for just a moment. There's a part of each of those that needed to go into this particular CSF2.0 subcategory. And there are other parts that went to other places. So there's a many-to-many mapping going from these subcategories of different eras of CSF. So quoting the text ended up being a mapping exercise for the parts of the guidance from the manufacturing profile. And this is one of the things we hope was a good work ahead for the manufacturing profile as they do their R2. Also noting the quotings are not complete. There are some pieces of the manufacturing profile that did not migrate. We still strongly encourage everyone to review the references in full. And there's also a part of manufacturing profile structure that remains distinct and will remain distinct from the semiconductor manufacturing profile. They did a split based on impact level. These guidance points that you see on screen sometimes were for low impact level of a security incident. How do you respond to a low impact? How do you respond or prepare for moderate impact? Prepare for high impact events. And the guidance in the semiconductor manufacturing profile did not apply the same tiering. The reason for that is the permutations just ended up being ridiculous to attempt to try to fill out because we have the domains of interest within us that the manufacturing profile did not do. So trying to do domains and impact level and 100 and, I forget, it's 106 or 113, but over 100 subcategories was just an infeasible amount of work. Even if we had the time for it, there's a very strong question of managing volunteer energy. So we needed to leave out some of the breakout. But we did do some breakout work. This you see on screen now is ecosystem level. I borrowed another part of the document on the next slide. Can you go to it, please? This piece of the guidance is specifically focused on the fab. So ecosystem-wide would apply to fab equipment and tooling and enterprise IT. But we also provide specialized guidance and considerations for each of the 3 domains. So that's the main breakout of how what these tables provide. Rationales typically at the ecosystem level. I believe they were always at the ecosystem level, just by how it turned out. Considerations and specific guidance points, often quoted but not always. Where they are quoted, we did quotation marks, just so you know, it is the same text that came from somewhere else. Without quotation marks, that is new to the semiconductor manufacturing profile provided by the excellent expertise in the room. So that's all I want to talk to for the guidance breakout tables. Now, there's another part of the profile that we are really looking for input on from in our public comment period. And this is noted in one of the preamble sections. I forget if it comes before or after the table of contents, but there's a note to the reader or reviewer that there are parts that we're highlighting that we want you to provide feedback on. This is one of them. It's focused on the business objectives between semiconductor manufacturing and manufacturing. They happen to be pretty much analogous when we look through what do we want to keep and what do we want to build on top of. We changed 2 words between the objectives, and the mapping felt sufficiently clear and stable from that to all of us. One of the resources provided in both of these profiles is suggested determinations of criticality for each CSF subcategory to each mission objective. So criticality is a tricky word to work through because often in debate it ends up feeling that there are a lot of factors that come in that not everybody shares. We built on the guidance from the manufacturer profile, taking their criticality and bringing it forward. Can we advance the slide, please? Thank you. This is a excerpt from the semiconductor manufacturing profile. Basically saying yes and no. Is this particular subcategory critical to meeting a mission objective? And we're asking for help with how these still align with everyone's expectations. Hopefully pre-adoption. If someone going through the mental exercise of saying, yes, we can attain this objective. No, we can't attain this objective if we don't meet this CSF goal. So in our profile, we primed these tables with the functional mapping from the 8183 contributors, which is probably my greatest supplied achievement as an ontologist in all of this. There's a graph. It ended up being a graph theory exercise and kind of fun piece of Python programming. But basically what came out of it was we had criticality judgments from CSF 1.1 and we projected them into CSF 2.0. And these tables are the current results of the mappings. Can we advance the slide, please? Okay. The formulaic population is described in a section in this profile. And it's drawn from the manufacturer profile's judgments. We mapped criticality as carrying the yes from any of the cells in the manufacturer profile to all of the cells it would affect. And we did the inverse as well. For every cell in our CSF 2.0 profile, if there was any criticality designation in a cell that would map from, that got carried forward too. And if there was any disagreement, we just decided to carry forward and let yes, it's still critical. This may have been too conservative, and we would like people to review the results. To help review, I'd like to talk a little bit about the mapping. And I'm conscious of the hour of the morning. It won't get too mappy, I promise. Next slide, please. Okay. Again, not new news. This is one of the resources in the semiconductor manufacturing profile. It's an analysis, one of the smaller excerpts of the analysis of what the mapping looks like between CSF 1.1 and 2.0. And just demonstrating, in some cases, there was just a subcategory that went straight ahead to CSF 2.0 and nothing really changed with it. In other cases, there were splits, whether forking out or converging into some other resource. And sometimes the mappings were asymmetric, and this is one of the many situations that complicated things. So the result of a criticality judgment on this is in the middle batch DE.AE3. If that was designated yes, critical to some mission objective, that mission objective in CSF 2.0 got the criticality judgment turned on, yes, for both DEA3 and DEA07. So clustering effects that naturally arose from how the many splits happen, and that the criticalities didn't say what was critical about the guidance or about the objective, just that it was critical overall, meant we didn't have the granularity to determine when these splits were just getting too much like a bleeding ink pattern that is just spreading too far. So this may have made too many critical designations. Can we advance the slide, please? And the visual evidence that this may have been too many is that there were some clustering patterns that happened. This is an eye chart. I will be explaining this in the accessibility text as natural equalizing clusters. You don't need to be able to read the text. The colors indicate criticality, and there was significant bleed effects from some of these clusters and how they just haven't happened to interconnect with other things going back and forth in time. So the formulaic criticality mapping was a start, but we do very strongly want community input on whether these hold water and whether we have and what the new judgments should be for the completely new CSF2O subcategories. Okay, next slide, please. Coming back to criticality tables, these are the input needs that we see. In the tables, there are some rows that are designated with asterisks and bold facing, highlighting that we could do. They didn't have to rely on color to say, please, we would like judgment on this. The working group did not end up being able to provide criticalities on all of these because we were still trying to determine process on how it should go, and it ended up being it's a tricky question to ask a room. Arguing criticals down is something we would like to see. If something just ended up being probably accidentally designated critical, we would very much appreciate feedback. No, I don't need to do this all the time to get my job done on this, and this is this objective is my job. We would like to hear that. And if there's any boldface, we would appreciate more perspectives, especially when the current record of perspectives is 0 provided either way. We did note in the note to the reviewer that we will, if we don't hear feedback on these, we will designate these subcategories as non-critical to meeting these objectives for lack of advocacy. So we encourage you to show up, provide a voice, advocate, say, this, yes, we need this, or no, we can save energy and we don't need to focus on this to meet this objective. And security is a lot about energy management when you're talking about resources in an organization. So we would like to know, where do we need people to start? That's the ultimate goal of these tables. We included the tables, and it ended up being a little late in the document drafting process, but it came up that the CSF is a lot of guidance and objectives to reach, and for organizations of vast size, it's a question of allocating people you have. In organizations of not so vast size, they are more limited on resources, need to know, and if everything needs to be done, then they have less faith that they're doing the right thing. They do know they need to eventually get to things, but what is the right order in which to start? The criticality tables are the suggestions of where to start. They don't necessarily, let's see, but every organization does have their own factors to consider as what are the most critical needs to getting to keeping their company going, and keeping safety in mind, and protecting their IP. Next slide, please. So, for the sake of workflow, we found it helpful in the group to have a few things again in hand, and I know I'm imagining a luxury of table space as I talk through what to have in hand here, but this is really what we found practical for for aiding with the meditations on what would be the critical needs. The assistive resources, the CSF 2.0 core paper, about 32 pages. It's NIST CSWP 29, cybersecurity white paper 29. That has the compact listing of all of the subcategory titles. So they fit nicely on a page. The semiconductor manufacturing profile tables have their guidance. So if you are on the fence of whether something should be designated critical or not, reviewing the guidance, visualizing what that would look like to spend your time and company resources on, that is a good and will probably help with visualizing, yes, we actually need this in order to meet our objectives. So these are possible questions for consideration. There's an art to finding this. So these are just a few questions. If you have other ways to frame criticality review, they are welcome. And there's a Q&A box, which I have been dutifully ignoring. I apologize. To help us determine, help us find better ways to ask for criticality judgments. For now, asking this blunt question: is it impossible for my organization to meet this objective without attaining this CSF goal? Then we have a criticality designation. And the hard thing to consider here is everything in CSF is already recognized as important. It has survived many rounds of review from a large cross-cutting sector of the global economy. Global economy, okay, maybe too fast, but it's gotten a lot of review already. So everything is already recognized as important. Critical is a level above that, and where that line is a personal or company interpretation. So if it's possible, a level, is it just impractical or too impractical to attain? And this is, consider this like if you have some resource constraints, whether that's time, whether that's people, or loss of some visibility to your network. So with that, other questions are welcome through the chat. And our call correctly, that's the end of my slides. So next slide, please. No, sorry. Last was this is a slide we can revisit in the afternoon discussion. This is a list of all of the new CSF subcategories. And if you've been around CSF 2.0 long enough, it should bug you that I assembled the table in this order, but I'll just leave that as a little in joke. This is everything that we had as new, and we provided some of the criticality judgments during our working group sessions. Please, if you just want to focus on a few, to drop us a little bit of help into giving our adopters good starting points, pick one of these and within your job scope, and think through whether it should be designated critical or not. Okay. Next slide, please. Actually,
I think probably do the polling. You want to do the polling?
Yes. We should. Can we? I don't know what you need on the screen to do the polling. I forgot what the first batch of question was. We have a round of polling now. Who has that queued up? Okay. No, please. So, Jen or Jay, one of you provided these.
These are J's.
These are the second. Oh yeah, we didn't do the other ones already.
Okay, so would you like to lead these?
I did do the other ones too. Just so we have an idea. The initial ones that I had were to get an idea of the people's familiarity with the CSF in general.
Okay, so
these are J's, yep.
Okay.
Can we go back to the first set?
Yeah. I'm gonna end these and then we'll
Yes.
start the first one.
Please.
Second here. Now it's live.
Jay, did you want to talk through the questions?
Yes. Yeah, you like.
Good morning. Hope you all can hear me. So as we look at like with the CSR profiles and how do we make it more real for you? What we wanted to do was to make sure that you all get to see and can you start to apply it. Well, I guess I can't turn my video on. So normally get your experience with CSF, how familiar you are with it, and what are some of the things that may be blocking you from using it? That will help us figure out how we can structure the document and how do we make it easy to if we could eliminate those roadblocks for you. So you help us figure out what those are and how familiar you are with the CSFs. Do we end the poll?
Maybe like 30 more seconds.
Okay.
Hi, all. The first poll is open, so we encourage all participants to submit answers. Give it a few, couple more minutes.
Yeah, we can end it. It's 4 minutes now. All right. May I unmute it?
We are unmuted, yep.
And thank you so much for the folks who replied. There'll be more polls coming up, and remember, these are the voices that will help us figure out how we will make these things work for all. So, you want to share the results, or do you want to move on?
They're sharing right now.
Okay. I don't have anything to say.
My favorite answer here is our 1-0 out of 20 respondents. My organization does not want to implement the CSF.
Heard that. Wanted to make sure it was an option.
Of course, even better, 0.
Yes.
Yes.
From those who have responded. Right. I think we will, so we'll take this into account as we move on. Go to the next question.
Yep, 1 second here.
So,
capture the short answers. So.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Can we go back to the first one?
Sure.
So some of you wanted the questions back, we're turning it back on.
I'm relaunching it. So it's relaunched.
So some of you thought that we got it off too quickly, we're turning it back on. And we'll give you 2 minutes.
One non-answer in mind, and
Off mute.
Thank you, Tom, for turning it on and allowing folks to answer. We can now close this one and go to the next poll question.
Opening the next one now.
All right. Now comes the question for, how do you look at the risk within the organization and how do you weigh it against the cybersecurity risk ahead of time? Since some of it involves typing, we'll probably give 5 minutes. A 1.5 minute warning.
Hello, everybody. So we're gonna move into our break a little bit early. We're gonna reconvene at 10:15, and we're gonna leave this second set of questions live. So if you haven't submitted your answers already, please take the break to do so, and we'll be back in 15 minutes.
welcome back from the break, everyone. We have a session on Q&A, and we wanted to have this be the start of the more conversational part of the day. Our prepared presentation materials are concluded. We are going to be we'll be posting the recording for that, but for the sake of enabling more discussion with the group, we're going to proceed with a recording off discussion for the remainder of the day. And we will be following. Jen, could you cue up a slide if you have it handy?
I do, the Chatham
Yes.
House.
We will be following a rule set called Chatham House rules. Very informally, it means things can be quoted from the discussion. The room said them. They can't be attributed to a person without discussing with that person for permission. That's the very short of it. We have a slide with a little more text in case I summarize a little too tersely.
Should be able to just share.
Yeah, I just, there it is.
Yeah, that would all the answers to that question.
It's okay. I asked you with like -2 seconds notice.
Now, do I have, oh, there it is. You know. A lot of things.
Yes, this was one of the rule sets that enabled our discussions within semi-work group 4. There was always a template set of slides that started the meetings, the antitrust reminder for everyone, and Chatham House rules to enable more candid discussion. So here we are. While this is on the screen, I think that is all I wanted to say for the remainder of the recording. So for everyone watching the recorded version of this, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to your feedback during the public comment period. The public comment period. That is the other thing I wanted to know. Sorry. Our slide for this had fallen to the back of the deck. Our public comment period currently ends April 14th, which was our plan for a 45-day review period. We decided to, there's a phrasing for this. May 28th is Friday. So what we've decided to do is move the public comment period to around 90 days. We're finalizing what date that will actually be because of some publication team logistics. But this is to give stakeholders more time to absorb the profile and figure out how to adopt it. So that's the last reminder we'll have during the public comment period, going until we think about May 28th, last Friday of May, and may bump a little bit for a few days after that, depending on team availability. Thank you again for your time. We look forward to hearing from you at semiconductor manufacturing profile at NIST.gov as listed in the front matter for the document. Thank you for your time.